Hi everybody, Candy Master Cyrano Lossi here from Guatemala with my student Juan Lora. We're connecting for the second time on this new platform from Chess24 called Coaches, which was designed for trainers and students to get in touch in a better way. So today we're going to be looking at the second part of some critical concept session that we had many time ago, in which we talk about planning, in which we talk about prophylaxis, in which we talk about good counterplay examples. In this case, we're going to be looking at one game from Carson, our guy on the top of the screen, and we're going to be looking. Sorry, guys. And we're going to be looking at a good example of defensive play and successful counterplay. So in this case, it was Carson against Murosevic as white. Let me just switch the board. You can look at the board, right, Juan?
Yes, correct.
Perfect. So before we get started with the game, actually, as always, I would like you to solve some warm-up exercises, okay? So if you want, let's go
Yep.
ahead with this one. Just let me see. Now you shouldn't be able to look at the notations. Otherwise, you will be able to look at the solutions. So let's go with this one. It
Yeah.
is it is white to play, okay, buddy? So take your time. And as
Okay.
always, you already know how to do it. You first thing you're going to be looking is the what, right? Then you look at the takes.
Mhm. Hmm. This is interesting. I like this puzzle.
Take your time. All right.
It's
How are we doing?
it's white. It's white to move, right?
Yep, you're right.
Okay. Wow, that's tough. Wow. So for this one, I must admit I am having a bit of trouble. Let's see.
All right. So for let's see, what is black creating here?
Definitely queen, and then maybe checkmate in the future.
Okay. So yeah, that's their treat so far. That's their treat. So okay, black wants to promote. So that's an important treat. If we're going to do something, it should be really forced. So we should see at all the captures and checks that we have, and also look at the king's position. He is very, very limited.
Very vulnerable.
And you may have some pattern, checkmate pattern ideas out there already,
Hmm.
over g7 especially, right?
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
At one point, the move knight to e8
Uh-huh.
kind of came to mind, but after queen captures on what's b2, feels like it's enough.
Exactly. If the queen captures on b2, and there is no way of avoiding black to defend the g7 square, right? But what will have
Yeah,
happened if black plays after knight e8, knight f5?
knight f5. That's also another way of countering the threat. If
So,
after knight e8 after knight f5,
uh-huh.
pretty sure knight f6 kind of, yeah, knight f6 wins the game, I think.
Exactly, knight f6 and queen d8, right?
Yeah.
So knight f5 doesn't work because of that. So you should see that black's only resource available for defending here is over this diagonal with the queen, right?
Uh-huh.
So that's the key in the problem. You should see what to do about that, how to deal with it.
That does make it a little more clear. Bishop to e5 now kind of comes to mind. If the rook takes, then you continue with the knight on e8.
Exactly.
And the queen can't defend anymore. The rook is in its way.
Exactly. So on this one, well, we have to. It's just like a general perspective of what the comparison method is like, right? We're comparing a position with the knight on e8 itself after knight f5, or queen takes b2. We're comparing with the position with the rook on e5, right? So that makes it completely different story. So yeah, that's the solution. Let's go with this one. It's also white to play. This one is pretty easy.
It looks simple, but I feel like there's always something behind it.
Of course.
I like knight f5, and the reasoning behind that is if I were to go knight c8, not c8, knight c6, then the king can move. Not the king can move. What was the reasoning behind it? I've already blanked. Knight c6. What was wrong with that? Felt like there was something wrong with that move.
So give them both a look.
Knight c6. I already completely forgot my reasoning as to why.
Don't worry.
What I do know is that knight f5 seems better to me because it attacks the queen, and if the king were to
Yeah,
just take the knight,
both of them work.
checkmate, but that's just really.
Yeah, both knight f5 and knight c6 works. I mean, go look at it here. Knight c6 is the first one that comes to the mind of a stockfish, but knight f5 also does well. I mean, he will have to keep the queen anyways, you know. So yeah, both of them work. We saw that with another student also the other day, that both of them work. The idea, of course, is queen h8, right? The checkmate over h8.
Yeah.
That is unavoidable. Has to give you the queen. So yeah, that's the solution. Let's go with let's go with this one.
Okay. Knight f6 check, g captures f6, rook to g1 check. King moves to. Actually, no. If knight f6 check, g captures f6, instead of the rook, queen to g1 check, then the king can escape in the other direction.
Exactly. So the queen was limiting, helping you to limit the king.
Correct. On knight f6, g captures f6, rook to g1 check. King is stuck moving to the only square over on h7.
Exactly. And what? Sorry, guys. And what checkmate pattern comes to your mind in that position with the rook on u1 and the king on h7?
Rook on g1, king on h7.
Where could you give the checkmate? If you could place a piece anywhere, where would it be?
Queen on. Ideally, queen on g7. So how do I get my
Ideally, or in which other place?
Oh, yeah, also on the other file, the other rank file.
Exactly, also on the h file, right?
Oh, queen goes down to c2, check, and if the pawn moves up to block, then you just move over a file and then move all the way to the edge.
Yeah, but actually after queen c2, yeah, go ahead.
Sometimes I can draw, sometimes I can move.
Yeah, don't worry.
Block, or if it's the pawn, same story. Just move down here, and then if you block, I mean, it's just doesn't really. Pretty sure this one just makes your checkmate longer.
Yeah, makes it longer. So yeah, that's the solution. Very well. Let's go. Yep, let's go with this one. It's white to play. So
Okay.
hello, Juan.
Yeah, I'm here. I
Oh,
was just muted because my
all right.
background sounds too
Yeah,
much.
I got afraid, But no, go ahead. Don't worry.
No, yeah, we're good. So the first thing that comes to mind is obviously the X-ray between the rook and the queen.
Exactly, and that should be an important thing to highlight, right? All these extras here.
Mm-hmm. E captures d3. Or actually, would that even is that even required?
Sorry?
Because I see if the queen can capture the knight, there's still enough defenders on the other knight, so black can't, force a queen trade. But the issue I'm seeing is the queen is protecting the c1 square and the rook is eyeing the c1 square.
Yeah, but you have to see that if e takes d3, the pawn is no longer covering that knight.
Uh-huh.
So there will be two pieces attacking, only one defending, so the knight would actually be hanging.
Takes. I see this, but I'm not very convinced because so after you take, you take, you take, you take, and then you can either block and then kind of force a trade, and then you go up one pawn, but I think there's more.
Yeah, there is. You're now looking at other possibility from black.
Uh-huh. Okay, so there's more. Man, these get tougher and tougher every lesson.
I think that maybe you weren't used to solving problems for a while, but you're going
Yeah,
to get used to it back. Don't worry.
been a while.
Yeah.
The knight is pinned thanks to the bishop. If e captures on d3,
Okay. So you were telling me?
see, I've been looking at the taking the knight with the pawn, but I feel like black can always trade the queens.
Taking
I
the
feel
knight
like
with
that's
the queen.
something I'm clearly missing. There's gotta be something.
Yep. So you told me that the knight is pinned. And yeah, there is an X-ray between, well, that the rook is given to that queen over e3. But the queen is also giving the X-ray capture to the rook. So it's a logical relationship, right? So what you're
Yeah.
not looking there in queen takes d3 line is that black can capture the knight. Sorry. Yeah, they can capture the knight and then capture your rook,
Uh-huh.
right? They cannot
Right.
capture your queen because the bishop is in f1, but the rook falls. And you have nothing on the a rank. So
I think
that
I've
too is
seen
a
it.
problem. Tell me.
I think
Exactly.
I see it.
Exactly.
I looked at this was the first move that came to mind, but as soon as I saw this, I was like, nah. But I should have looked deeper.
Yeah, maybe. But and what happens if queen takes f3?
So take, 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 and you said queen takes f3,
Mm-hmm.
block, and now you have this.
Yep. And we'll have to give you more material. So yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. That's the solution to that one. Let's go with this one.
Okay.
It is white to play. This one is also pretty easy.
Okay, so my queen's being attacked by two pieces. Stuff like that. Hmm.
So the key here is looking also at the king's position.
Yeah. Both of them are in the corner tucked away.
So
Let me see. If the queen takes the queen, can I draw? Let me see. No, that's not draw. There it is. Queen takes queen, rook takes queen. This square is protected twice and attacked twice, so there's nothing to take advantage of there yet. But if I check, still two defenders.
alright, but
Check, take.
try to keep me looking a little bit deeper there. There is a
Okay,
detail, another variation rather than just taking and taking on b8.
okay. Hmm. Oh, if he takes, I can mate.
Exactly. That is the detail. That's why I told you the king is very limited here. That's also the key, right? And what happens
So
if he takes with the rook?
that's what I'm thinking.
All right.
Check. And I think you can just mate at this point. The queen can't really block. Or, let me see. So if you go here, take, take. If you block with the queen, I mean, just kind of, I don't know, just kind of lose.
You take with the rook.
Yeah, just kind of lose. And, take here, you still get mated.
Exactly. So black will have to play queen d8 there, and well,
Just give
here's
up
the
a
same.
coin. And
So
then,
we lost the story, right?
or what? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, rook
Okay.
b7 just to exchange pieces and define the game there.
And then, kind of just, you have an attack here. Once it moves, you can move your queen here.
Yeah, you will have to
Yeah,
look forward for exchanging this pair of bishops in the future maybe.
yeah. I
Take
mean,
out this
after
bishop to
this,
play. Many ways in which you can push to win here. Shouldn't be a
okay.
problem. Let's finish
Okay.
with this last one, which is a beautiful one actually. It's white to play.
Let's.
So of course there are some obvious things that first sight comes to our mind, but I want you to look very well at the consequences that they may have.
So promoting instantly. Why don't I like promoting instantly? If pawn d8, queen, queen takes pawn, queen, rook takes, then what is the consequence there? Why shouldn't I queen?
Look at
Queen.
your hanging pieces. Look at all of the board. You're not looking at all of the of the board before
Oh,
starting to think of your moves.
the bishop is hanging. Try to go out
Exactly,
here.
the bishop is hanging.
There's a perpetual, I'm pretty sure.
Why to go for a perpetual here when you can simply get the rook back?
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Exactly.
See, I'm blind right now, man.
Don't worry, don't worry. That's why we're doing these exercises, because that game Mark Carson is gonna have some tactics going on there. So d8 and queening is not helpful for us because of this relation with our pieces. Instead of
So
that,
the
tell me.
first move that came to mind, and I didn't believe in it. I don't remember why I don't believe in it. I don't know. Maybe it's because it looked funky, and it does look funky. It was because I thought knight check, and I thought, what do I do after the king moves? What's? But now that I see it on the board, it looks a lot more simpler. Queen takes. And you're up a bishop, but the thing is, he has a lot of pawns.
Yeah, but why to worry here? This one other falls, and it's just one pawn for the bishop. And both, well,
Yeah.
this one that is the further pawn is on a light square, so you're not losing him.
Uh huh.
He's the one that should worry, and your king is gonna help. That should also
Uh
be a one game, right?
huh.
Yeah, your king is gonna go for this one. So yeah, that's it with the warm-up problems. Next time, I'm gonna try to find other ones like this that are a little bit funky that way. So let's get started with Carson. Remember that for us to employ an attack, let's just like remember some basic principles, right? For us to employ an attack, we should have some pieces out, some pieces developed. It should be a coordination between my pieces in order to have a same objective, right?
Yes. Yes.
To execute a combination or to get some other kind of advantage. But an attack can never be performed successfully just by one piece. One piece is not going to work out. It's just on very strange situations when you have maybe a lucky strike, a lucky hit that one piece can checkmate. I mean, it very probably is because your opponent made a mistake and left his king too limited and the queen goes on checkmate or something like that, right? But otherwise, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. You need at least two pieces, but the real minimum of pieces that you need. Sorry, I was telling you the real minimum of pieces that you need to deploy an attack, better said, are three pieces. That's the less amount of pawns of pieces that you can admit to tell. Okay, I'm going to attack. I'm going for the attack with these three pieces. All right. Remember also some basic things like
Mhm.
a pawn. If you give up a pawn, that theoretically equals three moves in development, three moves ahead in development. Okay, you may have one move, you may have two moves, and it may not be bad at all, but it's a little bit more risky. If you have three moves in development, you are already pretty compensated for that pawn, maybe a little bit more, most of the time, right? So that's something as general rule, well, not a rule, right? General principle, like a notion that can help you out. So let's get started. So you know the Nimzo Indian. We're having an Nimzo Indian position, Queen C2 variation, which is one of the hardest ones to play. So here, well, you're having two variations, short castle, and you're having the d5 variation too, which is the one that Carson goes for here. Short castle, as you know, has the problem that uh, allows white to play e4, and here I personally don't like these positions because I simply lost the best piece to defend my castle, which is the knight on f6. So I really don't like these kind of positions. You get a lot of attack, and yeah, it's a playable position, of course, but I think that there's no such a need of risking that much. So I personally also go for d5, and here Morozevich went for c takes d5, although there are other possibilities. If he goes for other possibilities, he's gonna end up having a structure like this. I mean, black usually takes here, then they go for b5, c6, and a6, and they support a4 advances. That's how this is usually played. Um, I remember that you. What did you play? You played the Nimso Indian, right?
I played the Grunfeld. I'm a
The
Grunfeld kind of
Grunfeld.
guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty well. But yeah, I thought that you played the Nimsa. But yeah, once I made some material about that line. But that's like the theory, you know. We take and then we go for supporting that pawn with b5, c6, a6, and holding that structure, not allowing white to play d5. It is a pretty interesting opening. I can send you some model games if you'd like to about it. So after c takes, we're having a little bit more of a quiet position somehow. Bishop g5. Remember that the typical reaction, well, or well, not remember because you're not an IMSA Indian player. But here the typical reaction against bishop g5, sorry, is h6 and g5.
Uh-huh.
That's a typical way how IMSA Indian players react to that. Here Carson does play g5, but after he did c5, sorry. Could have played bishop takes, but that is not so comfortable for black because I can long castle, um, and I'm getting an uncomfortable pressure over d5 pawn. Very
Yeah.
uncomfortable pressure. I'm getting e4 too. Um, what will happen? Just wondering if white, sorry, goes for this. What can we play here? Because it may looks like we're losing a piece since the very beginning.
Um. I mean, it looks like bishop b4 check, and you kind of have to move the knight back.
Exactly, bishop b4 and you have no problems, right?
Yeah. And now you're stuck in a pin, so that'd be annoying. Unless you want to
He
lose
helped you.
castle. I mean.
Exactly, he helped you. You're gonna come with bishop f5 in the future, knight c6. And leading development. The knight e4 is a loss of tempo. And what happens if knight takes d5 here? Quickly. That is a blunder.
There's a queen captures on f.
Exactly. Queen f2 after for king e1.
I mean, you could just take the bishop, and you're on a kind of on a
Exactly.
rampage at that point.
So g5, white goes for bishop g3. I mean, t takes c5, white goes for black after black plays g5, bishop g3. 94. Well, for here, I don't want you to think on too many things, just theoretical moves. And here, white plays rook c1. Defending that knight that is getting a lot of pressure. On the Nimzo Indian, whenever we're doing c5 and white accepts, and not only there, on many other c5 schemes, we're not forced to take that pawn back immediately. It's not really necessary. That's especially applicable for the schemes that has a finquero with bishop, but in the Nimzo Indian, it also applies. Especially if he has a pawn on c4, because those pawns may be double or even tripled, and that is not useful. They are just easy to make fall. So here, well, Carson is going to get back the c5 pawn, but first he wants to develop out his pieces with initiative. Of course, who knows, right? So he's taking those chances. But here it's black to play. What will you go for here? I would like you to think on white's pieces and especially on the plus algorithm, because rook c1, as you know, the 30 seconds rule. So remember, first 30 seconds, what were you looking at?
I'm playing as black, correct? Now white.
Yeah, but you should analyze the 30 seconds rule with your opponent's last move.
So why did he make that move? I mean, he's fortifying the knight. You know,
Yep,
the more attackers black adds, the more defenders white's gonna want.
exactly. But that will be like with the what algorithm. But with the 30 seconds rule, we're always looking at the positive things of that move. The next 30 seconds, the negative things of that move, and on the last 30 seconds, we start applying our algorithms, right?
Okay. So the first 30 seconds.
So you were
So
telling me the first 30 seconds, Paul?
first 30 seconds, you added another defender, so that's good. I mean, you activated a piece. That's also good. You definitely want to have an active piece.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the next 30 seconds, you're not castled. What you did is you delayed your castling to move another piece. Piece that usually moves out later.
Exactly.
You're leaving a defender of the A pawn, which could be important later on.
Exactly. The pawn is hanging right now. So that should also guide some possible Kane moves. So now that you finish the 30 seconds rule, you start with the what? Alright, you already did it. He did it to defend the knight of c3 as you told me. And then you look at the takes.
Queen.
Queen to where, Paul?
If queen takes a2, you've taken a pawn, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But is the pawn that worth it? You're loosening the attack on the knight, so now there's only two attackers, and there's still three defenders. But then you are equal in pawns, so that could be.
And this one could also fall in the future, yeah?
Yes. We do also have an uncastled king and then a bunch of pieces who are still not out in battle.
Alright.
If I'm being honest, what would I do in this game is I feel like I would go with my knight. Let me see, does this go? I'd move the knight out as I'd be attacking a pawn and then have it come out here. Not here, but just eyeing these squares closer to the king, closer to the enemy pieces.
Yeah, and that was what Carson played. He went for 97.
Okay.
Queen takes a2 is playable too. Well,
I
we
feel
should see.
better knowing that Carlson went with that.
Tell me? Sorry?
I feel better knowing that Carlson went with the same move.
Yeah, elite players tend not to take those 3 pawns so easily whenever it doesn't look that clear, or
Uh
they
huh.
it doesn't enter their preparation, they feel like it may be a computer line, you know, because at
Yeah.
at those levels you have a lot of preparation, uh,
A lot of collection.
very hard preparation, you know. So
Yeah.
of course, one line that you enter and your opponent prepare it with a computer with an engine, and you're lost, right? If you don't find yourself well. Dingler is the exception, right? He finds the best moves against Caruana's computer's lines, but that's
Yeah.
another story. So Queen takes a2. Um, there's a game by Fingal that played Bishop b5, and well, things weren't that bad for Black. Actually, were pretty good, but were also pretty good for White. They were able to equalize the game actually, but Black has a comfortable position. I mean, both sides have their problems. Both sides have their kings in the centers. So actually, no one is so safe here.
Uh
The game ended up being a draw after a series of massive exchanges. And if King d1, then what is the idea of King d1, first of all? It looks
huh.
crazy, but what is the idea?
You remove the pin. That's you know.
Exactly,
Now the queen is under attack. There's an actual threat there.
exactly.
Is that the move that was played? Oh no, this is an ended
No,
line.
this is just a sideline that I wanted to show you. So here, what could you play? If you're getting your queen under attack, first of all, you have to apply the move, right?
Uh-huh. Where would I move my queen? Maybe back to a5. But what I don't like about that line is the fact that the knight can take the knight, and if the pawn retakes, the queen can capture with tempo on the black king.
And the king will
And
start dancing there.
yes, you don't want a dancing king.
Tell me,
You can't really block the attack of a knight. I think that's the only attack
why
that's
not?
impossible to block in chess.
Yeah, of course.
Um, visual, it's visualized counterattack, correct?
Yep, that's the B.
Visualized counterattack. I mean, this is the move that screams at me, and I think I like knight capture c3 the most.
That's a better line. Taking that knight. And
And then
after that, after B takes,
I feel like knight takes c3, b takes c3. I could exchange queens. I think I'm actually forced to exchange queens. Otherwise,
uh,
my bishop falls.
yeah, you will be forced to do so. Difference between knight takes and bishop takes. Try to see which one is better. I would like you to see which one is better, whether knight takes or bishop takes.
Bishop takes c3, bc3. Now I can move my queen. I don't have to trade queens. But at the same time, I am trading a bishop for a knight. In some situations, that's okay. And this might be one of them because actually my weakness isn't exactly along the dark squares. My two pawns out here on dark squares. That bishop's eyeing this diagonal, but there's nothing really there.
Exactly.
So what would I go for?
So you have to see because he could also start bothering you with bishop e5.
If I take with bishop, and then okay, so I don't understand what makes it draw and what doesn't. Take with bishop. I can always take his as well, but we have the queens attacking the queen. So first I'd have to figure out what to do with my queen, and then I'd have to figure out what I want to do.
But what are you? Here white is not gonna play queen b2. I mean, but what were you telling?
Um, Here I was thinking, if I if I go with the bishop instead of the knight, he could take, you know, right here, and I
Uh-huh.
can always trade queens. I can move it, but
You will have to move it until a5, right?
yeah, I don't really like that square.
Neither do I. So, well, you could exchange the queens. There wouldn't be a problem with that. The thing that we're looking at is that after rook takes, we are taking care of bishop e5 because we have f6.
Oh,
Okay, and well, you can get rid of his bishop pair advantage because we don't want to allow him to stay with the bishop pair here. So
yeah.
what we will have to be actually doing is taking that bishop.
Mhm.
And well, from h after h takes, knight c6, and there we will keep playing,
Mhm.
with a position that is, yeah, pretty equal. Maybe instead of knight c6, knight d7, right, to get the c5 pawn. Yeah, that would be better. A position that is kind of equal. I think I may not even need to castle. I
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I mean,
But
it
look at
does.
your two pawns. I mean, after you take that c5 pawn, these two pawns are gonna be deadly,
Mhm.
right? So,
Yeah, true. Actually, yeah.
so yeah, that should be considered here. So that was an option if king d1. That was the best option actually. Carson, however, went for 97, the one that we were looking at before. Morozevich plays knight g e2, and after knight e takes c5, we get a3 over the board. And it's black to play. What is white's threat?
White is starting to take the bishop with a pawn.
Alright,
I mean,
so you should react, especially looking at the takes. You can take with the knight on c3, you can take with the bishop again.
I don't like taking with the knight because if you take with the pawn, then I have to take, and I think I end up losing a piece in that line if I go like this. And then if the queen takes and the pawn takes, then, well, down a piece. Don't like that.
Exactly, there is that intermediate move.
And then the next move was the bishop takes, and it looks like the most sensible by a landslide because once you take, because there's no way to move this bishop. This bishop can't
Yep,
teleport past the
gonna
knight.
move.
And then if you take the pawn, there isn't anything crazy here. You just be given a bishop for two pawns, and you have two pass pawns, but I don't see enough.
No, neither do I. I mean, you're not having a development advantage. You're not having a safety king like to go for these kind of lines.
Yeah,
And white can go 94 and bishop b5 at any moment.
way too risky. You just give up the bishop. If the knight takes, well, we're back in the same situation except we're just down a bishop.
No, you're not that a bishop. You just exchange it for a minor piece, right? Or the
Oh no,
pawn.
yeah, that's what I meant. We're just down the bishop in the attack, should I say? My
Yeah,
bad, my
yeah,
bad.
yeah.
Um, Here, I mean, what would be the best response by White? Obviously, not taking with the queen, that'd be horrible. Taking with the pawn also doesn't please me because then I'm just leaving two more pawn islands. So I think taking with the knight is most sensible.
Yeah, and taking with the pawn. Sorry,
Yeah, my bad. I made a bunch of lines.
if taking with the pawn, you can take the e3 pawn. Doesn't has rook a1, and if he will, you could play queen b3. So that queen is pretty safe. It's a
Mm-hmm.
free pawn. So that happened, and black exchanged again, and we arrived this endgame. Just quick question here. How are you taking with white? You already told me principle there. So I'm pretty sure I already know your decision actually, but how are you taking back?
Yeah, with the rook,
Of
100%.
course. Yeah, you're not leaving more pawn islands, as you told me.
Yeah,
And of
and
course you
then
should
also the attack.
exactly, you should try to exploit the open file. So yeah, I just ask it quickly. Black plays knight to e4 now. What is the problem here? That Carson, he can go for knight to e6. I mean, he could, he could go for knight e4, bishop f5 again, but he has to decide. Do I try to keep blocking with my knight the c file, or do I get rid of his pair of bishops? So not the two things can be cheap, and he ends up getting rid of that pair of bishops. So for this position, everything is logical. Now I would like you to see the position. Carson is in a very hard position. He's having a rook
Yeah.
on the 7 rank, not an easy way of developing, right? The b7 pawn is touched. White has a clear way to go, bishop b5, king to d2, rook c1, maybe in the future trying to double the rooks, or pressing a bit more over the h6 pawn, so you don't have a way of developing that rook as an easy way neither.
Hmm.
So many problems. So I would like you to think as black, what can you do? You only have one way to go here to find some development and some activity without giving too much, of course, and without giving the game.
Hmm. Now, what I at first what came to mind was my king is what's in between my two rooks from connecting, a bishop and a king. A
Yeah.
bishop is easy to move anywhere, so
Mm-hmm.
I thought I need to move my king, get my king out off this rank so my rooks can connect. And I thought maybe placing my king on g7 looks sensible. This rook would be eyeing this, but my king's there, so we're fine. And then this rook is eyeing this, and my king's there, so we're fine. But the issue with that is if my king gets here and then this bishop, is trying to move, this pawn is still hanging. How do I go about dealing with that? Um, for let's just say my king does make it here. I can always move my pawn just one up and then move my bishop out. That is a valid plan, I'd say.
Yep.
Um, looking at their game, these guys are good. There's no way around it. Another thing I could do is actually move to the F upwards one. That way this rook isn't eyeing anything over here anymore. And what I could eventually end up doing is routing my bishop around like that. But that kind of just blunts my own bishop. I don't like the
Yep.
plan of having to like force my own bishop to be stuck behind a pawn.
And you're like limiting yourself, right? So
Yeah.
you have to go step by step. Here, priority is to get this bishop out. For him
Correct.
to get out, what should we try to do? What should we do first? Okay.
I think we need to get this pawn either another defender or we need to move it.
Exactly. So take your decision there.
If I move this pawn, now this rook will forever be tied to the pawn.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I'd just rather move the rook. I move the rook. It doesn't look like an amazing move, but it's just to add a defender to the pawn.
Yeah, and if you move that pawn, you're also gonna be getting those awful weaknesses, more weaknesses over the light scores. So that should not be the way. Carson
Yeah.
goes for rook b8, exactly. The process of entrenching, right? He's gonna stay there like if he was staying it on the two first ranks. White goes for bishop b5 now. Logical move. It's a good move. And now it's black to play. Where can we go? Because we should see this rook is completely dominating over the 7 rank. And that's something
Yeah.
I should take care about.
I think you definitely just want to move over one to the F file.
Yeah,
I mean, you could attack the rook, but then the rook just takes. And
exactly. You have no way but going to f8.
yeah.
Right. So after king f8, white plays king d2. Stalled. Their plan is pretty easy, right? King g7, your king did arrive on g7, sorry. Right? That was a right plan because you have to look how to care of the h6 pawn successfully. And white goes for rook hc1 here.
Makes sense. Want to double up?
Still, exactly, still not threatening anything like my bishop, right? Now Carson goes for rook d8. What is he avoiding? He was avoiding bishop d7 to happen, and
Mhm.
then entering and doubling the rooks, because I don't have an easy text to play rook c8 because of the b7 pawn, right?
Mhm.
Through a series of exchanges on d7. So goes for rook d8. Also taking an eye, taking care of the d5 pawn.
And eyeing
Um,
the king. I didn't even see that actually. Yeah.
yeah. For example, if he goes for rook for bishop e6, just what I told you, rook king e7, and if king f6, rook c7. Just look at the position and uh, the that black cannot really perform well here. I mean, they
Yeah.
cannot really look for anything. You know,
The cookie just crumbles.
you will have to still find a way of making this position fall from black, of course.
But it's a
But
lot easier as white. Yeah.
exactly with patience, you will find certainly a way.
Mhm.
So white goes, as I told you, black goes for rook d8, rook e7. Now he's adding the idea of doubling the rooks, but on the 7th rank, but also of playing bishop to e8. Okay.
Mhm.
Carson takes the chance to give a little bit of activity to the king, and that way he ties also a little bit, compromises the rooks a little bit on the 7th rank, because yeah, they're a little bit limited. They are pretty limited now. This rook can only go to e8, right?
Mhm.
And this one must stay there. I don't have a dark square bishop, sadly, right? Like to win a rook, but it's already something. I am limiting the pieces on my 7th rank, which is pretty unusual, but it's a defensive resource that he employed here, and
Yeah.
it was pretty good. Preventing bishop e8, what can we do? Because if not, that pawn is definitely gonna fall. It's already been attacked. I can play bishop
Yeah.
e6, right? But what happens if bishop e6?
Well, then he just takes the B pawn.
Exactly. So that doesn't work. Just let me connect my computer, okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
But keep thinking, Paul. Don't worry.
So the if I add another defender here, can and now there's two defenders. Now this pawn's by himself. I go here. This seems so far like the most sensible move.
It is the only move to cover that f7 pawn.
I mean, there's no. It's not like you can make the pawn dance. Like, yeah.
Yeah, of course not. You cannot take it to f5, you know. Even there will be bad. So white is doing very well so far. Look that he have been applying our famous Capablanca algorithm, right?
Yes.
Remember the steps of that?
I don't actually.
No? Alright. Let me remind you. The first step, remember that it was to improve all of my pieces. Morozevich has definitely done that. The second step was to get a space advantage. How? With my pawns. So I had to advance them, right? And the third step was to make good exchanges. This last step is the one in which we're going to start looking at some mistakes by white. So you looked at all of the steps are pretty important. Remember that they are not like one after another, but they all have relations. And the idea is that they will give me general ideas that I can be doing. Maybe I don't have all of my pieces improved, but already some, and I can start advancing pawns in one side of the board. It must not be like, sorry, it must not be like until I have all of my pieces improved, I will start moving my pawns, right? We shouldn't confuse it that way. Um, and then you will be looking for good exchanges on the road or on the way, right? So white has done pretty well so far. Now Carson plays a6, simply gets rid of that bishop, makes it decide where it's gonna go to e8. If it goes to e8, now you can play bishop e6. Why? Because b7 is no longer hanging. Well, it's hanging, but your bishop is so. So you decide, right? The bishop is also hanging. You have to move to take it back. So the
Yeah.
bishop,
What do you want more?
exactly, the bishop decides to go to d3, obviously. And now it's an important moment for black. You have to decide how to look for active play here. How can you look for counterplay? You
I
have
think
to.
here the best move would be get your pawn up, make it move. But the issue I'm having with that is, well, I like this move because of the fact that this bishop is more limited now. It's getting limited. That's what you want. Same color. But well, you are moving a pawn. But I think now, I think it's okay to move pawns. You're near the end game. There's a lot of pawn movement. You're freeing up your bishop to either one of these squares or here. The point is you're getting it out. I don't think I really see anything wrong with this move. I was trying to think of something, but I like it. The thing is, you are going to make this your new target.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's gonna be a target for pretty while. Black may
But
play rook a7, the other rook to c7, already threatening rook c6. They can also play a4 and break your structure that way.
So
They could look for that thing. They could also try to see how you react at the possible bishop e2 and bishop h5. And they also have ways to try to exchange the light square bishops, of course. Like supporting.
I need to be active here.
Exactly. If that bishop is gone, then it will be much harder to defend d5, a6, and f7, right? So that may be a goal for white. So no, b5 will be closing even more the position. And what we need here is to open the position in order to get counterplay. I cannot just stay with my rooks here all the day. I'm going to lose slowly and slowly, and my opponent is going to enjoy it a lot also.
See, I was thinking bishop here, just limit this bishop even more. But if I were to go that route, I'd just quickly.
Yeah, you will have to take care of b7 first, and on f7, of course.
Oh, yeah. See? Bad move. I like it. Where could I go here?
You have to search activity for your rooks, so you have to open files here. Which one is easier to take into play? The f8 or the
definitely
d8
the F rook, yeah, 100%.
Sorry?
The F rook, 100%.
The f rook? Do you think so? Because the f rook is tied here to the defense of the f pawn.
Really? Think it'd be easier for the other rook? Well, actually, yeah, that is, yeah, because this rook, I thought of it like this. They're both defending, but when you say it out loud, you realize this bishop, there's no way they're trading that rook for a bishop. So, yeah. Man.
Take your time here. Search for opening files for those rooks.
How would I open files for my
Well, look at the hook bones that he has. Remember, that is where we uh, grip ourselves to open a file. Those hook points, those tension points are the ones we should see.
Another idea before you mentioned the hook pawns that came to mind was moving the pawn again, but this time putting my rook right here. Have my rook patrol this file. But I don't know. I think there might be more. Pawn keeps moving back up.
Don't worry.
I was also thinking of this, where I move this up. But if he moves upwards, what's my response?
Try to give it a look. E5 is good. Just try to give it a look at what happened there if B5.
A5, and then if he moves upwards to B5, what am I planning there? He is limiting his bishop. There's that, the positional side of it. Cyrano, I was wondering if you think we could stop it here, and I could try to get this overnight, because it's already 8. It's been an hour.
Yeah, sure. Give it a think. A5 is the move here. I just would like you to look at the variations. B takes A5 and D5, alright? So give them a look, and that way you decide what if you finally go for it, what's the idea overall, alright? So
Yeah,
make that
I'm gonna
analysis.
try to get it by 12 tomorrow. It's
Perfect.
probably what I think it's 2 to you.
Sure.
I'll see what I come up with.
Alright, I agree. That's fine.
Okay, let me just take a screenshot really quick.
Alright, Paul. No, you can actually access the platform later. Just access the same platform and you have everything already uploaded, the PGN. After we finish...
Can I do it through mobile, or is that not a thing yet?
No, not on mobile yet. It's still being developed. Yep.
Okay, yeah,
or if you want, I can send you the PGN. Don't worry. Alright?
I already took a screenshot. I'm gonna treat it like a puzzle.
Perfect.
Okay.
Alright, buddy. See you then, Paul. Yeah, alright, everybody. So we finished the session today with Juan. Hopefully you learned a lot from today's session. Many interesting things that we talk about from this Carson's game from counterplay point of view, of course, and many others that we still have to talk about. The most outstanding moves are still to come on this game. So next time we're going to finish this game with Juan, and we're going to be looking also at this one between Mason and Wittek, an example of good attacking play by Mason on a Stonewall-like structure with a Pillsbury attack setup. So that will be it for today, guys. I left my email on the top of the screen there in red for you to write me and let me know any questions that could have arrived to you during the streaming of this session. I will be glad to answer you, and I will be also glad to explain you my working method if you like to train with me here in the platform. I will be glad to. So hopefully you look at a lot at interesting chess today. You learn from it. You learn from these model games by great players, and hopefully you also look at the different features that this platform is offering you. As you can see, all-in-one video call session, the board is here, I have stockfish if I need it. You know that we as trainers don't used to suggest the use of a stockfish, we don't used to do it neither. It's not so good, but it's just necessary in some positions, like to verify our perspective of some positions, especially when we're analyzing a complex position of a student maybe, We both put effort on thinking on the position, and then we may need to consult for a second opinion on the engine or to verify if what I look at was right. So it's always useful. It's always useful. I am having also an opening explorer, as you can see, right? Main moves where that I can be looking at here, and many more features that are still to be developed. So guys, it's something that we weren't used to use as trainers, but it's something different and much better, much easier to handle. For example, I'll show you today. I were not in my typical computer and in the one that I used to do while training, to use while training. I had to use another computer, but I had no problems. I just had to log in into my coach's platform, and I had already uploaded the PGN that I wanted to show to Juan for today's session. So I had no problems. I just need internet connection and a computer. If I don't want to have the video call with the webcam, it's not a problem, you know. So you know those different utilities that it gives you. You must not have anything installed. Like you just need an Internet Explorer. You just need an Explorer, right? You just need a browser. So that's it, guys. If you would like to get onboarded on the platform, there will be a link in the description so you can get onboarded as soon as possible, guys. If you have any questions, as I told you, or if you'd like to let me to know a little bit more about my working method, feel free to write in my email and I will be glad to answer. See you guys.